you always talk about playing 2 complete halves or a complete game. What did you say at halftime?
You know, probably the opposite of what you would think, you know. You know, the thing when you're behind, you just start yelling at your team at halftime, right? I mean, that's coaching 101, but that is really the opposite. I said we played terrible. You know, we made lots of mental mistakes. They're shooting 54% from the field. They're shooting 40-some from 3. They're getting half of their shots that they miss back. Can't play any worse than that on the defensive end. On the offensive end, you know, we took probably 10 bad shots. We made 5 hurried plays, all with good intentions. So I didn't fault intentions, but we're playing terrible. And I said, you know, we've been here before. We're down, and we can definitely win this game. But we're going to change every mindset, everything. So first of all, we are going to scratch and claw on every single possession, and we're going to make it really, really hard to get a good shot. And second of all, we're going to block out much better. I'm not sure we did that. We did for a while. Later it got poor, and we're going to share the ball more, and we're going to get better shots because what were we, 4 for 20 from 3 and 11 for 33 overall or something. So we're not getting good enough shots. We're taking bad rush shots. We're not sharing it enough. So we're going to have to play together more. And I said, you know, this is exactly what we talked about for months, is what are we going to do when things are going wrong? And teams with character and teams with winners and teams with champions, you know, when things are going wrong, that's when you're your best. That's when your team pulls together. That's when the team sets their jaw and does all those things. And when you don't have character and winners, and then your team puts their head down and pouts and looks scattered and all those things. So it was me just saying, this is exactly what we've been talking about for 3 months right now. Like, what are we gonna do? And that was our halftime. And I've said it many times, I have a lot of faith in the character of our guys. I think they want to do as a group well very badly, and I think they're willing to sacrifice. I know that we're all still trying to find, I'm trying to find the rotations, they're trying to find their roles. Their roles are not all like they used to be at other schools, or even the guys that were here, or of course freshmen, it's never like your role in high school, you know, it's never like that. So we're all finding that, but are we all on one page when it comes to, we're all going to guard as hard as we can and rebound as hard as we can, and we're going to share the ball. And we were terrific. 56-32 in the second half is amazing against a very good team, and a very well coached team. I will say this, part of, you know, our first half struggles was they run a lot of really good actions. You know, some teams you play are just a little simpler and, you know, more generic. We've played a number of teams this year, just by bad luck or whatever, good luck, that have really do some things that give you, that are hard to guard. They're not things you always work on, and they have a lot of good actions, and it hurt us. And of course, they've got a great player. You know, Pippen was amazing, but still, they did some things that really hurt us. We didn't kind of, you know, we weren't as attention to detail on some of the things that we had covered beforehand, but not out of lack of effort, just, you know, in the moment. So at the other end, Vanderbilt plays a style of defense that kind of takes you out. Doesn't make it easy to, you don't get to run all your stuff. They make it hard. They do a lot of trapping on ball screens and rotation, and they do a lot of, you know, different things on the sideline as far as how they play the ball. So it's not as smooth sometimes, and it took us a while to get used to that and find some things that we're really working as well.
Specific to Pippen, did you try to change anything in terms of the way you defended him after the break?
No, we just kept trying. We just felt like, you know, if we just keep plugging away and busting our tail on different guys, that hopefully he'll miss some. You know, did he ever miss? I guess he 8 for 21 overall, but 8 for 14 for 3. His three-point shooting was fantastic. But we were talking, you know, 7 or 8 minutes to go, something like that. We started to talk about, okay, down the stretch, if need be, you know, we may need to change how we did. But the lead stayed. We had a cushion So we didn't want to, sometimes, you don't want to change with a cushion and all of a sudden the dam breaks and it's totally different. So we felt like if we're going to maintain that cushion, we'll just keep playing the same way we've been playing. And fortunately, we were able to do that. We handled the pressure, we handled the presses, got some easy baskets, made enough free throws, and did some good things, down the stretch to not allow it to become a 4 or 6 point game, which becomes a whole other game, as we all know.
Stringing together these wins the past two home games, how important is that for at this point in the season for you guys? Does that change the perception of kind of how you feel about where this team
Well,
is?
it's critical. The last 2 games have been critical because you're talking about quality opponent, UNLV, talking about Vanderbilt, talking about SEC, and now, yeah, we have played those games, and sometimes we look pretty good, and sometimes we look really mushy, and I knew we would, and we're still not close to what we can become, but definitely really important because there needed to be real progress, or that would be discouraging for all of us. I mean, our guys would be very discouraged. For me, it would be discouraging because that would mean the character was not what I thought. Like, are we going to buy into the same message? And the answer has been yes lately. We learned our lessons, yet we all are going to have to even give more, and we're going to have to share more, and the effort has to be even more than we thought. And so this was a huge week, and of course, from here on out, they all are. There's no such thing as not a huge week, other than when we're in finals, but that's even a huge week because we got to pass all our exams. So I guess till the end of the season, there's no such thing as not one. But you're right. We needed this week to go very well, and it did.
Is a win like this, where your team is down 12, comes back and wins, is that somehow more gratifying than the
Yeah.
kind of win where if you
Yes.
run someone out of the gym right
For
from the opening
sure,
tip?
For sure. To me, because, what are all the qualities? There's so many qualities that go into being a good player, a good team, and, skill and IQ and unselfishness and competitive fight and heart and will and all those things. But to me, I love the most is when people are tested, your will and your fight is completely tested. And when you respond like that, that's the best to me. That's the best. As opposed to just, boy, we played really great the whole time and everything went well. The best are when you're tested the most and you fight your way out. I love those the most, yeah.
Kendrick had 4 points at halftime. I think he didn't miss in the second half, and he got to the line for a bunch of free throws and finished as your leading scorer. Was that just a matter of him ironing out the kinks, or did you ask different things of him in the second half?
He probably pressed a little. He probably pressed a little bit the first half, and when we were going fine, and then all of a sudden it was there was a 1 point game for a long time. Maybe we were ahead, a little bit behind, and then all of a sudden we had that about 4 or 5 minute stretch when kind of both ends are going wrong, and guys pressed a little bit right then. You could feel it. We got to get past that. That was something we really talked about at halftime. Our response can't be, well, now I'm going to try something, and then you try something, and then you try something. Our response has to be, we got to go like this even more. And so he might have pressed a little bit, but games are long. I mean, they just are. They're long. And sometimes you're going here, and then all of a sudden you're here, or vice versa. You can have a great half, and then it just doesn't come your way. But the deal with him is he's such a competitor, added to very talented, and he just finds a way in a long game to be a huge contributor. And the thing about being a guy like Kendrick is he's marked. Okay, he's marked. He's the guy everybody's keying on, and yet, and unless you've been like that, where the defenses are first designed with him in mind, they are, and he's got to fight past that every single game. That's a lot of pressure. It's hard. It's really hard. And he's done a pretty amazing job. He can't be every night. No one can do it every night. But he's done it a lot. He finds a way to fight his way into some really positive things on most nights. But he's also learning, I believe, and it's so critical for us, he doesn't have to have a great night. He has to make sure everybody else is having a great night when they're keying on him so hard that he allows the flow to go good. And that's when you're really a great player. When you can not have a big stat night and you were great out there in that you facilitated and allowed the flow to take place and you led your team.
How concerned were you when he got run over and came up holding his arm a little bit?
Yeah, pretty. And then he said it was one of those hit the funny bone, so that not so much. It was his left arm, so I didn't feel like it would affect his free throw, but it did. So I don't know how your left arm affects your free throw, but we know now that it does. When you got something feeling a little funny over here, I guess you feel funny over there. And he's a great free throw shooter, as you know.
Better performance in the second half today or first half against UNLV?
Our team,
Yeah.
well, I would say this game only because of the circumstances. First half it's 0-0, not a lot of pressure, some pressure. It's a game. It's a major college basketball game. It's pressure, but not like when you're at home and you just got gave up. I don't know if we had a 1-point lead and boom, you look up, it's 40-28 and nothing's going right. And you're like, yeah. You do the math, 12 plus 12 is 24. You could be, but that's not how basketball works. But of course, so this one is like to go 56-32 in the second half. Here's something. You guys know this, but we've had some great first half defensive performances, great numbers. Help Missouri at 18 points, hold it, and yet then the second half it's like the opposite, and that's really been bothering us. It's been something we've talked about a lot. So also because of that, tonight against a high-quality SEC opponent, we held them to 27% in the second half. And that, thanks for asking, is the best part for me of the whole night, because maybe now we know we can do that in the second half. We did in the Monroe game for the 6-8 minutes, but they're not an SEC team. They're not Pippen's the preseason player of the year. I mean, they got some guys, they're pretty darn good.
All right.
Okay.
You talked about the halftime speech and having faith in the guy's character, but when did you realize that they got it?
You mean in the second half or in the
Or
halftime?
in the locker room, like from when you gave them the speech at halftime?
Well, first of all,
to
it's not a
when-
speech. It's not a speech. I wish I was Abe Lincoln, I wish I was. I thought Obama was a great speech maker. I thought Clinton was amazing. Ronald Reagan was amazing. These guys are, I don't do speeches. I wish I was great at them. I know some guys that are fantastic. But what do we say? I want to say it that way. So what is the message? The message was, as I said, we're where we've said we're going to be. I told you this is where, now what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are you going to fight for this defensive end and turn those numbers upside down? And are we going to actually not try to take our man and make a hard play? Are we really going to share the ball and find the open man and take great shots? And are we going to pull together and talk to each other more and have our head high instead of low? All those, those things. But in the locker room, do I know? No, I don't know if it's going to. I wish I knew that. I wish I knew there was like a light on, like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen exactly that way. I wish it was. So the answer is I knew 3 minutes into the second half, like, yeah, you could see, we were just flying all over everywhere, turned them over, and our run at the beginning of the first half, I forget what the run was, it was pretty darn good to close it. It was closed, the game was closed that fast. I actually told them, I said, there's no 12-point shots, just start playing better than they are. It's a long 20 minutes. Just start playing a little bit better than they do, and this thing will get, well, I guess they thought I meant in 3 minutes, play a lot better than they did, and so maybe I should have said that, but maybe that's how they interpreted it. I don't know. I have no voice, can you hear that? I've had a lot of games, we played a lot of games, and crowd was great, crowd was loud, crowd helped us, and so when the crowd's loud, I have to yell louder, they can't hear me, or at least sometimes they act like they can't hear me. Maybe they do hear me, but they act like they don't hear me, so maybe that's it, and then I have to yell louder, and they still act like they don't hear me, and so that's why I don't have a voice, and we don't have practice tomorrow, so that's good too. Maybe I can talk by Wednesday, hopefully.
It seems a little bit like your bench is more animated than it has been in years past. Am I misreading that, or do you see that too?
No, by far, by far. But But part of that is, you know, I have to give the Twins credit. They have incredible, they have incredible joy and passion, and they want to win, and they bring a lot of that, and it's contagious. But part of it is we have a lot of character. That's character. Because I'm on the bench and I'm not playing, it's very easy to go, well, you know, whatever. When I get in, I'll get really interested. I mean, let's be real. There's a lot of players across the country at all levels that they're not all that fired up. They might fake it, clap a little bit, and then there's the guys with the character that are like, hey, I'm on a team, and I'm pulling for my teammate, and I'm pulling for all my teammates, and I'm pulling for our team to win, whether I'm playing 1 minute, no minutes, 20 minutes, 38 minutes. That's character. It's character, and you're seeing one more thing why I've been saying this team has a chance, because you don't see that. Watch all the teams, watch the benches in a month, watch all the benches and see the body language of the benches. And our guys are into it. You should have seen them, you know, after the game. Everybody's, you know, excited and happy for each other. And I do believe we're getting to a point we don't care who has the good game and who doesn't. I hope we're getting to the point we care that, you know, our team scored more than them, and I think they're all bright enough to know that's how they all get, you know, they'll all gain from that. And if you're not playing well and winning, you know, you're kind of irrelevant. So they want that.